name is Robin. I wanted to come on and just talk to you about my stitching. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself first. I am a 40-something stay-at-home mom. I have 2 kids, a 4-year-old boy and an almost 15-year-old girl. I've been stitching for cross-stitching probably about 10 years, I think. Wait, it's 2020, so yeah, no, probably about 10 years, maybe a little more. Anyway, I got started in crafty things because my paternal grandmother was amazing at everything she did. She did crochet, like she won a state fair crochet thing. She submitted this huge cotton crochet blanket. She did needlework. She did, just little crafts that she would sell at the church bazaar. My mother also did some cross stitch. She sewed us a lot of clothes. So I kind of grew up around that kind of crafty sort of situation, and so it piqued my interest in it. The first thing crafty that I remember doing is, do you remember, I'm dating myself, do you remember those, like, they came in like a square shape and they had pegs all around the outside, and then they had like loops of fabric, and you would make like pot holder kind of things with them? That's the first thing I remember doing. That I remember being at my grandmother's house and my brother and I did that, and then it progressed from there off and on, not a lot, not all the time, not constantly. I remember that I did a needlepoint little chickadee in high school. I have no idea what happened to it. I really wish that I knew where it went. And then in college, I did another needlepoint thing, and it's a pillow up in my bedroom, actually, that I need to re-FFO. The cording around it, the edge of it is coming off. I did a pretty big needlepoint piece that I gave to my dad. So it was always needlepoint was what I did, when I really started doing needlework, partly because the stuff that I saw in, Michael's and Joann's, and what's the one that was MJ Designs? Does anybody remember that store? All the cross stitch I saw was very cutesy, teddy bears, ducks with ribbons around their neck, and just wasn't interesting to me. I didn't really care for it. And then I worked with a lady who did cross stitch, and she's like, oh, there's way more to cross stitch than that. Are you kidding? I stitch on linen, and I have this beautiful blue crab. And so she brought it in, and I was kind of like, what? And then I discovered the internet, 1, 2, 3 stitch, and that was it. Then I was hooked. So I first did a little sheep, and then that was on Ada, and my cat's over here enjoying the sunshine. So anyway, sorry, I did a sheep, and then after that, I think my next thing after that was a border study. It's like really tall and narrow, and that was my first foray into linen. But anyway, so that brings us up to date. So I took a break kind of a few years back, and then got really back into it while I was pregnant with my son. So let us go through the things that I kitted up yesterday, because that's why you were all here. All right, first, I'm going to apologize to the people who don't really like crinkle sounds, but for the people who do, like me, you're welcome. All right, first up we have the Wisdom sampler. I have had this in my stash for forever. And so I have also, gotta figure out how to make this not fall on the floor, sorry. I've also had the fabric for it in my stash for a long, long time. And I'm just gonna stitch it with the DMC. This is 40 count Lakeside Linens Vintage Magnolia. I don't know, let me try to unfold it so it's a little bigger. It's a really, really buttery, pale yellow. Let's see if I can get it to pick up the color a little better. Yeah, it's definitely more yellow than that. It's pretty buttery. It's gorgeous. Lakeside Linens is, without a doubt, my favorite linen, hands down, no question. Oh, yeah, there These right near my fingers you can see the yellow. That's, I don't know. It's so strange to me how these cameras pick up color and then don't. I don't know. But anyway, so that is the first one. And then next is Blackbird Designs, Sailing Home. It is a birth sampler, and it is the boy version. They also have a girl's version, which I stitched for my daughter. So I wanted to make my sons match hers. So as soon as I knew I had a boy, I went out and found this online because I was really afraid that it would go out of print and I wouldn't have it, and then I would be stuck with non-matching samplers. But I just stitched her. This is not what I would choose if I was going to stitch it, you know, if I was going to redo hers, which I'm not. Ain't nobody got time for that. But it's just a cream Zweigart linen, and then these are the flosses. So it's kind of like a, you know, I actually had to sub in from my stash. So these aren't exactly the called for, but it looks really close to what's on the cover photo. So there's that one. And then next is, what's this one? Oh, yeah, I don't think this one is in print anymore. Sorry. This is Anne Pennsylvania Peacock by Little. And I, again, have had her for forever. And the interesting thing about her is that her, I don't know if you can see this, her face is actually paper. So the model was stitched on a 35 count, and I don't have a 35 count that will work for this, so I'm going to stitch it on 40 count. And what I'll have to do is, when the world is not crazy anymore, I'll just have to scan it in and have it printed at Kinko's or something like that, so that it will be the right scale. You know, so you can rescale it. So you scan it in and then you can rescale the image. So that's what I'll have to do. But anyway, I am going to stitch this on 40 count doubloon. And here are all the colors. I have loved this for so long. It's one of those that I don't know why I haven't stitched this. I don't know why I never started it. Probably because of 35 count. I don't really, you know, it wasn't a size I generally use. But anyway, there's that one. I'm trying to put these back as I go so I don't end up with a giant mess to clean up when I'm done. There's that. And then next is, this is another one that I've had forever, and I'm pretty sure this is out of print. This is Exemplars from the Heart, the Mermaid and the Sea, and again, this is another one. Why do we do this? I have had I even bought the threads when I bought this chart. Although, you know what I remember now? Initially, when I first bought it, I could not find the color Mallard anywhere. And then we were at Sassy Jack's, I don't know, a couple years ago when we were on vacation. We went to Asheville, and on our way from Asheville to the second part of our vacation in Tennessee, we stopped at Sassy Jack's. And I found it there, and I bought 2 skeins. I think it needs it for like one tiny little fish, but I literally didn't start it because I didn't have that thread and didn't know what to do. Whatever. Anyway, I'm going to stitch this on 40 count Vintage Maritime White. Yeah, Vintage Maritime White by Lakeside Linens. And here are all of the fibers. This is almost all Weeks Dye Works. So, very excited about that one. That's a good summertime one. Next is, it's a Stacy Nash. Which one? Can't remember the name of it. It is Old White Farmhouse Sampler. I found this kitted with the thread on eBay for less than it would have cost me to just buy the thread. So I said, okay, take my money. But it's this, so cute. And I'm gonna stitch this one on 40 count vintage flagstone. Again, it's Lakeside Linens. And here's the threads. There might be one missing from here, but I've had to kind of, since I'm trying to just kit everything up from my stash, I've had to sort of steal from other projects. So if there's something missing, I will worry about that when I get to it. Steal it from somewhere. Okay. Next up is, this is a Heartstring Samplery. And it's coffee, Fairy Coffee Mother. And I've had this for a little while in my stash. I know exactly where I want to put it, and I know exactly how I want to finish it. I want it in a little frame, a little gold in an interior border, and it's going to go right next to my coffee pot. So I'm going to stitch this. I actually don't know what linen this is. It's just a little scrap that I had, and I don't have a label on it anymore. But I know it's 40 count, and here are the threads. It's a little tricky to get them to lay together right. There we go. Oh, there we go. So pretty. I love the colors, and I love the sentiment. It says, I need a fairy coffee mother, and you know, yeah. There's another one that I want to do to go next to my coffee pot too. It's the Plum Street Samplers. It's a freebie. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it says something like, you know, here I lay, if you give me caffeine, I will jump to life with glee, or something like that. But it's so cute. I love it. But I didn't get that up right now. This one is the Halloween Sampler by Cottage Garden Samplings. Love this. And I actually bought the called for fabric. I bought a really small piece at first because Witchell is not my favorite. But this is actually shockingly, oh, hi. We have a visitor. She's pretty nosy. Hi. Anyway, this is Witchell. They have the hand-dyed line, and this is Copper Penny, 32 count, and shockingly, it's really, really nice. I don't know if you can see that. And there's nothing that I saw anywhere that was really comparable to this color, and I definitely wanted this color, so I kind of had to suck it up and buy it. And fortunately for me, it's very nice. Now this one, I am missing some of these threads, and I actually did convert some because some of the called for with dye lots, I think, was the problem. They just didn't look at all right. They didn't look at all like the cover photo, and I don't know. I usually buy based on the cover photo unless I see something live, like in an LNS, and so I kind of get hung up on making it match. So that's what I did. I went through and made it match. And I did have to place an order with 123 Stitch for some of the blacks. I'm just completely out of those. I don't know why. I don't know how. I usually have a whole bunch of them, but maybe they're all in projects. Who knows? Anyway, okay. This next one is a Blackbird Designs Bluebird. Let's see. Sorry about the glare on the plastic. There you go. And I am stitching this on 40 count vintage marin. Why am I having a hard time with that word? Vintage Maritime White, and with I'm going to use the Gentle Arts Maritime Blue. No, Uniform Blue. You can see the modeling very well. Let's see. Okay, so that is that. That'll be a quick, should be a very quick and easy little, you know, one color, so not many color changes, pretty easy to do. Next, okay, this is a Blackbird. This is one of the books. I do almost always follow the law, and I buy their books within a year of them being published, because there are a couple of books that I want desperately that you just cannot get anymore. So I've learned my lesson. Rarely, but it does happen. Okay, so the first, there's a couple of them in here that I'm gonna do. First is, oh, lost my place, oh well. Because I'm gonna follow the law for once in my life, is deux oiseaux. See, and I am gonna stitch it with red. I have 36 count pecan butter, and I'm going to use Schoolhouse Red with that. I don't know if you can see. I think that'll come out really nice. It's, you know, it's a nice vivid red, but it's not an insanely vivid red. I am not a big fan of bright red. The second one I'm gonna do, I gotta flip through because my fabric was holding my place and it fell out. Sorry, hold on one second. Okay, the next one is The Last Rose of Summer. And I would have gotten to this eventually, but I saw Brenda Sampler Stitcher's finish. Can we just talk about that? How perfect that was? Oh my gosh. So now I have to do it immediately. So I am doing it on 40 count vintage Meadow Rue. And again, I don't have a huge stash of, let me flip this around. I don't have a very large stash of Weeks Dye Works, so I had to go through and, let's tuck that back, and convert it to mostly Gentle Arts. I think there's a couple of classic Colorworks in there, but gosh, those colors are just so beautiful. I love it so much already. I just look at the threads against the fabric and be super happy about that. So those are the two in that book. This one is, why can't I remember what this is? Oh, it's another Blackbird. This is the Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day book. And I am doing the Darling Buds of May. I love this. I love it. I loved it from the moment I saw it. I've loved every single person's that I've seen. I did see someone, and I tried to look back and figure out who it was so I could give them credit. I cannot remember. I'm so sorry. I saw someone posted it on Instagram, and they had used Weeks Dye Works Mocha, and so that's what I have here is a mocha. And oh my gosh, it's just stunning on this darker fabric. It just looks so warm and cozy and beautiful. And again, I did have to convert some of these colors. You know, I just didn't have the weeks that it called for. But I think I got pretty close. So there's that one. There's only a few more. Next is, what's this? Oh, okay. So this is Stacey Nash, Rabbit Hollow Farm Sampler, and I liked this chart, but then I saw it posted. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. I saw it posted on Pinterest, and the person said that they had stitched it on Ren, and I really think that they stitched it with the called for threads, because when I pulled it, it looked very much like what I saw. And I was in love with it then and had to have it. So I bought it, the chart that is, and these are the threads. I mostly had all the called for colors. I did have to sub out that green because I didn't have the right green. Or I did, but I had like 2 strands left of it and that wasn't gonna cut it. So this is Ren, this is 40 count Ren. So yeah, that's pretty, it's really catching the color pretty well there. I was going through my charts last night and to, you know, figure out what or yesterday morning, say, okay, what am I gonna kit up? And I don't know about you, but every time I go through my stash, I sit there and I think, why haven't I started this? Why haven't I started this? Why haven't I started this? I mean, we all know it's because nobody has endless amounts of time, but still, it's nice when you go through your stash and you still love everything that's there. Okay, this one, and I'm gonna insert a picture here of this one. The other night I got on Modern Folk Embroidery's website and bought a couple of patterns. I don't have a color printer, so I don't have a color photo of this, so I'm not going to show it to you. This is called Winter Thistle, and this is a piece of fabric that I dyed myself with the called for DMC. So it's super pretty, but like I said, unless I'm a dum-dum and can't figure it out, I'll insert a picture. But yeah, love that. This is, actually no, I'm sorry. This is gunmetal. This is Weeks Dye Works gunmetal. No, yeah, Weeks Dye Works gunmetal 32 count. So I'm not usually a big fan of stitching with 2 strands, but this would be microscopic if I did it on 40 count, and I kind of want it to be a little bit bigger. So I will just deal with it, especially since it's on really dark fabric. And then the last one is another Modern Folk Embroidery, and I'll insert a picture here because, again, I don't have a color version to show you. But this one is one of the newer samplers. It's called Weary, I'm not sure, but that's the name of it. We're, sorry about all the reflection. We're Eat, 1783. And I am stitching it with the called for DMC on Picture This Plus 40 count, Picture This Plus Bramble. You guys, oh my gosh, these colors are so beautiful and so soft. You'll see in the picture that I put up here. I'm trying to get the blue to show. This blue is the best color. Come on. There we go. Now I'm covering up the brown, but that's okay. I think there's 1 or 2 DMCs missing, but that's okay. I'll figure it out. I'll get them. I actually did place an order from 123 Stitch and ordered some of the blacks that I was missing for the Halloween one, and the DMC I'm missing for this one, and a giant piece of Picture This Plus Ale so that I can start or kit up Mahala Barber. So that is it. I hope that that wasn't too awkward. Be gentle. It's my first time. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that everyone is staying, you know, enjoying the time, the extra time with their families, staying safe if you have to go out because of your job. Thank you. That's it. See you next time. I hope you enjoyed. Bye.